Good morning, retail traders. This is Washboardjim talking about sneaky snake trading strategy, where I talk about chart patterns, moving averages, and being in the now. So let's go ahead and bring on the early bird watch list this morning, and we're going to talk about stocks. Talk about how I feel about the market and the extreme greed level that we are right now, and that we do need to consolidate, but we have earnings coming up. There's always something that's going to move the market, and earnings are definitely coming up on Friday, and we're going to start off with the banks. And I think the banks are just like anything else, way overbought. Some of them are. And as you could tell, we had small pullback in some of them banks yesterday into earnings. I had a huge run on, we call it the nail the bottom. I notice things when they're cheap, and I notice things when they're a little bit overbought. So that's what I want to talk about. Greed. Greed. We're not even on here anymore. We're at the levels up here of extreme greed. Extreme greed. That means support's going to elevate, but still we're going to be trading in this here pattern of greed and fear. Fear is not mentioned anymore here since we've had this huge run. Huge. And I spot things like this. I spot greed and I spot fear. We're at extremely greedy, huge run. So we're at extreme greed. And when you're trading stocks, you need to understand what that means. We still have COVID going on. I got people around me that are still getting sick. We got the world in geopolitical problems big time. Anybody could get nuked. Accidents happen. You know, the slaughter, the genocide that's going on in the world right now. We've had a genocide before during the Obama years with Syria, and then we had a genocide during Rwanda during the Clinton years. So anytime a Democrat's elected, count on there being a genocide, period. So we're going to talk about stocks. We've had some good breakouts. We had this problem with Boeing. Boeing just cannot get it together. And then I read a statement the other day that Boeing wants to hire people on the color of one's skin and not the quality of the experience that they have. If I had a company like this, it would be about experience and quality. It'd have nothing to do with the color of one's skin. So they've become woke, and it's shameful. But when you beg for government money, that's what happens. They have a little piece of the pie. They're trying to do it with Elon, with the unionization of the companies. I hope he just goes straight to computers and robots, and he can avoid the human aspect of people anymore, because they're just getting so out of whack. So we're going to talk about Tesla. We're going to talk about Boeing. We're going to talk about AMC and anything else in here that kind of floats my boat. Boeing right now, I did a video just a couple of days ago after I found out about the incident that happened that could have been a catastrophe. A catastrophe if they were just elevated a little bit higher in that sky. So them people were very lucky that it happened before they got elevated, or it could have been a real bad situation. Now they also further at Wall Street, I watched them. They were talking about it all day yesterday. They had old Phil LeBeau out there on CNBC and all these pundits talking about Boeing, and I didn't see much doubt. They were going to solve this problem in a couple hours, and everything's going to be fine, and the planes will be back in the air. And then they brought all these investors that are invested in Boeing, said this is a buying opportunity. I'd start right here and start loading my positions. And without the investigation fully being, and it's still not going to be done. I mean, the government's going to get involved again. They're going to have to go through every one of these, not just the MAX 737s. They're going to inspect all these planes, all of them, and look for issues, because I think you would need to. You find loose bolts, not just where where this incident happened, but throughout the plane. You need to get in here and start redoing and rethinking about your process. They've had 3 years to get this right, and they have not got it right. we'll do better. You know, that don't cut the cake with me. So I'm going to pull up the yearly chart. Now I nailed this here pullback to the penny. I nailed it to the penny. And that was before the action even happened. I think we can go down more. I really seriously do. So I would not go long in this trade. I would just day trade it and scalp it. Look for the triple bottoms. Look for opportunity. Just don't be a fool and get in this trade. Yesterday we had a triple bottom at open, and I told the room, I said, this looks good. We're in a snake. We're going to break out and probably hit the previous high right here, and that's exactly what we did. Now we've pulled back again. I can see us coming back down farther. I can really see us hitting a lower level. I would not want to invest long in this company right now on major reasons. I mentioned them already. Fact one, that they're woke. Fact two, that they're sloppy. Fact three, we've been lied to for 3 years. Your long-term investors are going to tell you to go ahead and buy this dip, which they did yesterday. But we come from 176 just a few months ago all the way to 276. I have never seen a run like this in my entire life of trading for 20 years. This is a totally greed. You can see greed, pull back. Extreme greed, pull back. We're definitely will elevate the support levels, but I see us pulling back to this 200. SMA long. Right now we pulled back 10%, I think, or so. And they were saying buy the dip, buy the dip. I look for chart patterns. And what I see here is a Darvis box. We landed right here on the shoulder line of this head and shoulders. Here's your left shoulder, and now we're at the right shoulder, at the 50 SMA. I can see us pulling back to the 200 and then maybe start a position, but I won't really want to start a position until I hear further investigations going on with this plane. They're not going to tell me in 2 hours that this plane's going to be safe to fly, period. So let's look at that. Low support, let's see if we can hold the 200. Let's see if we can keep it right around the 214, 215 area on the top of this here Darvis box. And that Darvis box, if we go back 3 years, we bounced off of a double bottom. And I called this trade out here at 120. I said, get ready, baby. This thing's going to fly. She flew and hit the 200, and I got out of the trade. I was very happy with that. Very happy with that. Then she dipped again, pulled back to the neckline of this here W, which is a two-headed snake. Snake, breakout, pull back, double bottom, boom. So now it's pulled back to that neckline of an inverse head and shoulders. This is an inverse head and shoulders with two-headed snake. And we pulled right back to it, and I called this trade out, and boom again. Almost to a double top on a 3-year time frame. And I talk about double tops all the time. Irrational exuberance. We've pulled back 50% from this run already. There's your 50%. We pulled right back to it. This is a Fibonacci. You'll find it in the bottom of the channel there. I think the script's still there. Go ahead and use it. But that's an automatic Fibonacci setup for you. And this is on a TTM trend chart. So let's see if we can hold the 215. And if we do hold the 226 area, we can still day trade and scalp it sideways, as long as we hold the 50 SMA on the yearly. The next one I want to talk about, there's been a lot of arguing back and forth on AMC. AMC's a troubled stock. So anybody that tries to pump this stock, you ought to know that they're pumping it. It's a troubled stock. It's at an all-time low yesterday, day before Friday. It's $5 billion in debt. Interest rates are killing this company right now, and the movies suck. So they have to bring in some, I would say, street dancer, Taylor Swift, to show her ass off to try to get some kind of bounce in this company. So she does this thing live or whatever. AMC. I haven't seen a movie in 7 years. They've been that bad. Especially this year. 2023 was one of the worst years ever for Hollywood and how they made their movies. They went woke and it just destroyed their company. And that's the reason why I think this stock is worthless. But I'm not cutting it down. For anybody that's stuck in this stock, I feel for you. But I'm all about chart patterns, moving averages, and being in the now. And right now, here, Taylor Swift loses Golden Globe to Barbie movie. Oh my God. Can you imagine that? I mean, she's a great chick. She's worth a lot of money. But she's also couldn't do it if she didn't strut her ass out on stage. If she was just a natural singer, she probably wouldn't be where she is. Yeah, I said that. So AMC, I did a video on it, and I talked about how to trade this stock, how to catch knives. If you want good experience on catching knives, I'd go back and watch that previous AMC video I did. I'm not pumping this stock by any means. I'm just technically giving you analysis. It's not a fundamental trade to me. When you're $5 billion in debt, who'd want to invest in a company like that unless you were pumping it? So I talked about different chart patterns once you left this here trend. And yesterday we created what you would call a symmetrical flag. Each one of these patterns is a reversal pattern out of the snake. And what I mean by snake is a sell-off, a hard sell-off, a hard trend. And almost every time when you break out of a channel, you'll come up with some kind of support level or some kind of flag. Now, $5 is a real big number to the institutional buyers. They want to keep that above $5. It has nothing to do with the fundamentals of this company at all. It has everything to do with the technical analysis of knowing that institutional buyers will try to keep this stock above $5 or it'll bottom out. And they just did a reverse split and it tanked on that reverse split. It's because they're $5 billion in debt. So anybody that's pumping this, just understand that they're trying to save their ass because they're probably stuck in the trade. And it's a meme stock. If you go back in time, there was a big controversy about this big run up to $300 on AMC when it was down at $24 or something. The retail traders came in here and pumped it up after it broke this here symmetrical flag, and it had Wall Street was trying to short it. And that's when we started hitting the news about the retail trader. And it was a meme stock. It was a pump. And it's gone down ever since. And the movies have got a lot worse. COVID didn't help. It should have helped it, but it didn't. If they would have marketed this a little bit different through COVID. And then COVID changed everybody. COVID changed our country. It changed the way we work. It changed the way we deal with people. It changed everything. People were working from home more. So it turned it into like a gig economy, a gig society. And then we've had the internet. We have YouTube. We have other ways to entertain ourselves. And some people realize that, Hollywood is nothing but a big fluke. Jimmy is not into Hollywood. Not at all. I'm not into Hollywood. I guess you already understand that. I just can't stand their movies. But I am a technical trader, and I'll look for good spots to take a trade. So we had this snake, and we broke out yesterday. And I'm going to show you the flag. It's called a symmetrical flag. I'm putting this on the 3-minute time frame. Once I run this through the room, I showed them exactly how to trade it. I said, if we break out of this trend, and we got a symmetrical flag here, and you can count to 3, you can trade with me. So I told the room, I said, we hit the bottom here for the 3rd time. Get ready to position yourself. And I put it on the 1-minute time frame where it's a little bit more clear. Body, 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 body. The body of these candles, not the shadow, which is the wick. You want to go with the bodies. And 1, 2, 1, 2, I was able to draw out this flag. Once I drew it out, I said we're going to come back one more time, and we're going to hit a triple bottom on this trend, and we're going to come out 1, 2, 3 and break out of this stock, and that's exactly what we did. So I started a position in it, and I scalped it. Now we pulled back some, but we broke out of that channel. That means everything. At $5 means everything. We had a double bottom at 508. We hit 508 here, and we hit 509 here. So we had a double bottom. We had another wedge, another flag right here, another symmetrical flag. And then we broke out of the gate with a symmetrical flag, and the buyers came in on the 1, 2, 3. And if you can count to 3, you can trade with me. And it makes it so easy if you can learn how to read these flags. And in that video that I did before this, it'll tell you exactly what you needed to look for the reversal out of a snake. So my long in this trade is the 200 SMA. Once we hit the 200 SMA, it'll make a business decision if it wants to go ahead and break out into this other snake. Then we'll start a whole new channel. But for right now, I think we sure are going to hit that 595 area and consolidate. People will start thinking now, especially if they watch this video. It has nothing to do with the CEO. It has nothing to do with if it had anything to do with fundamentals, this stock would be at 0. If it had anything to do with the fundamentals, this stock would be at 0. Right now, it has everything to do with the technicals. And these are the patterns that you want to look for as we start to move up. So now we're going to move into the moving averages. And the 200 is your moving average that we got to break your hard resistance on the 1 hour time frame. Once we do that, we could run up and maybe find some simplicity up here right around the 650 area. But it has to break that 200 on the 1 hour time frame. The next one, Bitcoin. Bitcoin ETF coming out tomorrow. Kathy Wood is coming up with a Bitcoin or a ETF, and there's good stocks to watch. Mara is one of them. I know I might be a Debbie Downer, but I just got to make it clear what irrational exuberance is. You know, happy birthday to you. Let me see if I can find something over here. Anybody remember Alan Greenspan? He pointed his finger up and he said, we're in a dot-com boom era, bubble. We had a bunch of companies come out trying to be the lead, like AOL, Wahoo, all kinds of internet companies. And we were in a dot-com bubble. Everything ran up just like they're doing with AI, like they did with cannabis, like they did with the Bitcoin. And we've seen Bitcoin tank from 75,000 back to 15. Everything has a bubble. And we're in a bubble right now with this AI, and they're pumping the crap out of this. I'll talk about another stock that I think they pumped real bad. And I understand the momentum behind the stock, but that'll be after I get through these here Maras. So Mara, we hit a 1, 2, 3 yesterday, and we pulled back some. I think we still have room to run and maybe find some resistance up here right around that $30 area, 31. But mind you, we can still pull back to 22.77. Now, I called this trade out a while back after we had the big breakout on the, what was that? I keep thinking it was the year daily. And we had a previous high right here. And we came back and we almost hit that $20 mark where I was going to buy this trade. And I was into something else and I forgot to load up on this stock. But she's back up. She's created a symmetrical flag. And I think long resistance on this one to break is going to be right around that $30 to $31. We could have a double top and have consolidation, but Mara is definitely one to watch during this here craze. And RIOT, R-I-O-T. Another big one, it did pull back to that previous high. Now this is a head, and this is the left shoulder, and we came back and we hit that right shoulder. We couldn't break out of that double top. See, this is a shoulder line. This is a chart pattern. This is the left shoulder. This is the head. And then we came up from the dip and hit that and created what you would call a right shoulder. Then we had the big breakout, and she pulled back to that shoulder line. Then we had the big run up into the ETF special that's coming in, and then we had a pull back to that shoulder line. I love trading and learning how to trade these head and shoulders. I got the inverse and I got the regular head and shoulder. The shoulder is always a solid support or a resistance, either way you look at it. And one of my favorite trades is the inverse head and shoulder with a two-headed snake or whatever you got going on. But there's an inverse right here. Left shoulder, right shoulder, boom, with the two heads. So take time, watch them inverse head and shoulders for good entry levels. If you can, here you got again, left shoulder, head, right shoulder, boom. I can show you over and over in any time frame. It don't matter how you trade, any time frame. It's one of my best indicators. And then you got the 1, 2, 3, boom. I try to make it as simple as possible. Left shoulder, right shoulder, right shoulder, right shoulder, boom. So if this thing comes back down again, retest that right shoulder, the more it tests it, the leerier, and I'd have to see what kind of pattern we formed after that. Could be a descending, or it could be an ascending pattern where it wants to go ahead and jump back up. So double top resistance on RIOT, and we got another head and shoulders right here. You got your head, you got your left shoulder, and your right. And if we can break that right shoulder, which is the 21 SMA, and the 9, we did cross down, which is bearish, but I think we can bounce, that 9 can curl up on the daily and run this back up to around 1850 or something in that area. This is another one that I've been put, every time it breaks out, I buy the put. That's LLY. They're pumping the hell out of this stock. It's not just a fat drug. It can help your heart. It can help all your body organs. If you lose weight, there's a lot of benefits of losing weight. Your organs aren't pressed as much. Your pressure, your blood pressure, your heart ain't working as hard, pumping that blood in and out of your cells into your body. So they're finding other benefits, and that's true about any drug that comes out. They prescribe it for, I have epilepsy. So I've been taking medicine on and off most of my life. And they come out with, they got this new one. It was meant for people that were bipolar. It was a bipolar drug, but they found out that it helped people better with epilepsy. So I was taking that for a while. But it's true with any drug. There's always maybe something else that it can benefit, and maybe something else that might have some bad side effects. You know, they're talking about hair loss with this drug right here. But there's a lot of benefits to this here. So we're going to bring this to the 20-day. And we're at extreme greed. Let me show you on the 1-year chart. Look at that. All the way from $300 to $636 with a triple top. I think this thing's going to come back down. They're pumping the heck out of this stock. Pump, pump, pump. Extreme greed. In 1 year, it went, 1 year, 300 to 636. I wouldn't be doubted if they say, this stock's going to go to $1,200 in a year. CNBC will be saying that shit. And I'm saying, no, we're at extreme greed levels. We got to consolidate and pull back. So when I look at a chart like this, I want to look for an equilibrium. I want to look for a pivot point. I want to look for a pattern. And what do I see? I see a pattern. I see a few of them. I see a two-headed snake. I see support at 600 on this left shoulder line. We found a shoulder here. 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 So as it broke that shoulder and start to gain respect above that shoulder line, I think we can come back down and hit it again. So every morning when this thing breaks out, I'm shorting it. Like yesterday, this thing broke out, double bottom snake. Snake, break out, pull back, higher low, boom. Snake, break out, higher low, boom, with a symmetrical flag. After you leave the snake, you're going to find a pattern. That's a symmetrical flag out of the snake. And then draw in the snake. This is on a 5-minute. A snake is nothing but a trend. Then once it breaks out, never take that trade, let it pull back and create a pattern. Once it creates the pattern, you count to 3, 1, 2, 3, boom. It's that simple. If it doesn't do it on the third time, then you need to get out of the trade. Unless you hit like double bottom down here and it can come back one more time and hit 3 here and then maybe break out on the 4th time. But that's it. Anything longer than that, you'll probably get a knife. 8 out of 10 times you'll get a knife if it doesn't break those 3 channels, 1, 2, 3. So if you can count to 3, you can trade with me. So if this thing breaks out this morning, we're going to put it on the 1 minute. They don't want to. We had an all-time high after hours. So I'd find support off this here 1, 2, 3. And I'd put my support line right above that, right around 123. My alert. And I'd see if it bounced off that. If it didn't, we'll come back and hit the 200, and then I'd take that trade off the 200 on the 1 minute time frame. Now you can use the 5 minute. Sometimes people tell me it's easier to read, which it is. You came back and you hit the 50 and bounced off of it once you broke out of the symmetrical flag. So it could bounce off the 50 again or the 200. That's on the 5 minute. Each one of these moving averages are going to change. So you got to adapt your trading how you want to trade with the moving average. If you trade with the moving average. If not, you trade with something else, that's fine. I use moving averages as support and resistance levels. So this is a stock that I want to short bad. Anytime CNBC pumps a stock, I want to short it. They pumped Boeing. They had Jim Cramer on pumping Boeing last week, saying they don't look at the run. It annoys me. We went from a triple bottom, 1, 2, 3, with an inverse head and shoulders down here. And there's your head. There's your left shoulder, your left shoulder, your right shoulder, your right shoulder. Boom. That was one heck of a run. If you look at the daily, 300 all the way to a triple top. What's a triple top? It's a resistance level. A triple top is an exit idea for any fat cat that trades this market. I was told by a Wall Street guy that did trade on Wall Street, and he knew how the market makers traded. Once you hit a triple top, you get out of it and take your profit, especially on a 100% run in 1 year. Extreme greed. I've never seen anything like it in the 20 years that I've traded. So I know this is kind of a rant, but I just hate people getting stuck in the market and then coming to me and say, hey, man, I'm down big on this stock. I don't know what to do. I said, well, I've been talking about extreme greed for the last 2 weeks, ever since we hit the double top on the SPX. all-time high. All-time high, double top. The same thing with NVIDIA. SPY, same thing. They did this with NVIDIA. They tried to pump this for 7 months last year. 6 months. And I kept saying, don't fall for it. Let it consolidate in the Darvas box. We are up too damn much. We went from 151 all the way to $500 in 1 year. Not even, 3, 6, 7 months. You got to be 8 months. You got to be kidding me. You're up 300%, 400%, 300 and some percent in a year at an all-time high. Let it consolidate. So people coming to me, Jim, I'm stuck. They said it was going to go to 650, 1200. I said, well, what they say is they're pumpers. You got to look at the charts. The charts tell you everything you need to know. But Jim, so this year I made a video and I said we're going to definitely break to that 650 area because we've consolidated for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 months in a Darvas box. And we had these higher lows. We're going to break the triple top. 1, 2, 3, boom, we broke it yesterday. So now we're building resistance above that 500. As long as we stay above 500, this stock is still good. We hit 527 after hours. I called 524, I think, on the Fibonacci. So we'll definitely hit 650 this year, but it's still a big risk. I'd like to see it consolidate back to 500 and then start. If you haven't started a position, I wouldn't chase it here. I'd probably wait for the pullback, maybe start scalping it, day trading it on any kind of knife you see. But this is big number one pump on Wall Street right now, and that's NVIDIA and LLY. It's kind of long, but I just want to explain how serious I am about extreme greed and about irrational exuberance and bubbles. Every sector has a bubble. Every run has a bubble. And right now, the people on CNBC and these fat cats are really bullish, and they shouldn't be right now. We're into an election year. Everything's priced. They priced in 6 rate cuts. And then they come out and say, we might not be getting the rate cuts as many as we want. They might prolong these high interest rates for a little longer to get us into a recession. And they've redefined what a recession is. We've been in a recession. The government shutdown was a total collapse of our economy. Nobody would call it out. I did. I said, the government shutdown is going to put us in a recession. And that's exactly what happened. So they've redefined what a recession is during this administration. We're being lied to. The employment numbers were not all that good, as they say. They were government jobs and part-time work. It wasn't the private sector at all. It had everything to do with the government. And they got a lot of stimulus, $6 trillion they printed in the past 3 years of irrational exuberance. $6 trillion. And it's not all spent yet. $6 trillion. That's why this economy's, that's what Wall Street loves. They love that government spending. So instead of it being Alan Greenspan, it's Washboardjim saying, happy birthday. Now contain that irrational exuberance. Place some comments in the bottom of this video if you agree or disagree with me. If you're new to trading, I want to hear what you got to say. If you have a lot of experience, I really want to hear what you got to say. If you believe me or not, that we are at levels that are unsustainable, but we can keep going. And that's it. Retail traders, have a great day. I'm being very cautious. I'm trading one stock at a time. I don't want to get caught in a big bubble. We could get nuked and this market could tank. We've got open borders. We got terrorists coming into our country. Open borders. In my lifetime, I've never seen anything like it. We got a whole new welfare system coming into America. Crime is going to increase by 10% in maybe 5 years. People are going to be more homeless people than you ever thought about. More government, more socialization, more spending. It's just a mess right now. It's not my kind of America. We got wokeism taking over. I don't know if 0.5% should change the way society thinks, but who knows? If you like old men hanging out their penis in front of children, more to you. It's not my game. I'll catch you later, retail traders. I'm trading the wokeism real well. Any stock that comes out and says they're into woke, any company that says they're into woke, I'm shorting the stock. For example, Nike. You wonder why Tiger Woods left? He probably has it'd get old to me too. Being a sponsor of somebody for 20 some years. But they went woke, and look what happened. Huge drop. Huge drop. Target started selling Satan stuff in their stores. Huge drop. Huge drop. Budweiser lying to us about their numbers. Huge drop and then a big bounce. This has nothing to do with the fundamentals of the company. It has everything to do with how cheap it was. We had a 1, 2, 3, boom. 1, 2, 3, boom. 1, 2, 3, pullback. Disney. I got kicked off Disney because I asked Bob Iger, I said, when are you going to put out your next tranny movie? It's a Wall Street favorite. Now they're coming in here and they put their leading guy to take over Disney, and I shorted it. I was playing puts and then calls on the double bottom. 1, 2, 3, boom. So it's starting to flag out here. We got a little, I don't know if that's a falling wedge or a descending pattern, but we're getting ready to squeeze. And I think, with this being pumped as big as it is, we'll probably see $100. But wokeism just tore this stock apart. The bad movies are putting out right now. Disney Plus turned out to be a failure. So we consolidated on the 1, 2, 3 and we bounced up. Now we got a 1, 2, 3 up here. It's either going to squeeze out of this flag and run up to 100, or it's going to pull back and find support again right down here on this gap, right around $87. But they're doing everything they can now. They're doing everything they can to bring this stock up. They're working hard on it. Fat cats really want to run this up. Happy birthday. Now contain that irrational exuberance. Have a great day, retail traders. This is Washboardjim talking about woke, talking about irrational exuberance, talking about Disney, AMC,